Tonight, what happens now with North Korea? How Putin grooms his protégés, and
what the crap?
After an overnight pause in airstrikes on eastern Ghouta, Syria, trucks from a UN convoy were able to deliver some aid to people there. 46 trucks had crossed into the Damascus suburb earlier this week, but some were turned back. The ongoing and unpredictable strikes by the Assad regime are making it difficult for civilians to get out through 2 exit corridors. And according to one report, rebel snipers have also targeted civilians attempting to flee. Kenya's President Uhuru Kenyatta, alongside his biggest political adversary Raila Odinga, called for national unity today. The very unexpected meeting was their first since contentious elections last August, which eventually led to a redo of the vote and months of upheaval and protests. In January, Odinga even swore himself in as the people's president and refused to recognize Kenyatta as the head of state.
We need to save our children from ourselves. My brother and myself have therefore come together today to say this descent stops here.
A former Olympic skating coach who was accused of sexual misconduct in the 90s has been suspended from U.S. figure skating. The association confirmed that it issued the suspension for Richard Callahan on Tuesday, in tandem with the U.S. Center for Safe Sport, a watchdog group that handles abuse claims. Neither of the two organizations has elaborated on why Callahan was suspended. In 1999, one of his former students told the New York Times that Callahan engaged in inappropriate sexual conduct with him, starting when the student was 15. Callahan denied doing anything improper at the time, and today he told ABC News, quote, "That's 19 or 20 years ago. I have nothing to say." Martin Shkreli, the infamous pharma bro who jacked up the price of a life-saving AIDS drug, was sentenced to 7 years in prison today for defrauding investors. The sentencing wasn't related to the price gouging incident Shkreli became known for, but to a conviction of losing investors' money and misappropriating funds to pay them back. Shkreli cried and apologized at today's hearing. He'll also have to pay $7.36 million to the government and turn over his one-of-a-kind Wu-Tang Clan album that's worth $2 million. In a major break with the NRA, Florida Governor Rick Scott signed a gun restriction bill into law today. Family members who were affected by the Parkland shooting were with him when he enacted the bipartisan law. It requires a 3-day waiting period before someone can buy a long gun, and it bans the sale of those weapons to anyone younger than 21. Soon after Scott signed the legislation, the NRA filed suit, saying the new law violates the constitutional rights of 18 to 20-year-olds.
Good evening.
It's been 1 day since the surprise announcement that President Trump and North Korean leader Kim Jong-un will meet.
North Korea.
What we know is that yesterday the two leaders had agreed to meet by May. Today, the White House said it needs to see movement by the other side before setting a date.
We're not going to have this meeting take place until we see concrete actions that match the words and the rhetoric of North Korea.
That's all we know. But there is a small group who has some idea what to expect.
I thought that their approach to negotiations was not necessarily sophisticated. It was intelligent. They were able. They represented their government well. But they, I think, pursued certain tactics to raise the temperature in the room, to try to increase pressure, which were crude.
After 3 months of negotiations, we got the North Koreans to agree to abandon their nuclear weapons. We got them to agree to return to international treaties. And ultimately, we could not put together a verification agreement that, frankly, passed the giggle test.
Since this has all been initiated by the North, presumably they have been busy for some time already. We, I think, can be it can be safely said, are unprepared right now.
They'll probably be asking for economic assistance and energy assistance. They'll probably want a civil nuclear program. They'll talk about some kind of peace treaty. And the concern we have, of course, is that they'll say, look, in order to assure us of our safety, we need to get U.S. troops off the peninsula. And I hope that we draw a firm line against that.
I have never heard language of the kind that President Trump has used to describe how we would, under some circumstances, do damage to North Korea. I never thought that was a particularly useful thing to say. One might argue right now that it was, that it's part of why we are here, that bombast has worked.
My fear is that it will be perceived as just a chit-chat, which will give a lot of credibility to Kim Jong-un.
There is the possibility, of course, that all this can go horribly wrong.
The Korean people were divided through no fault of their own, and the extent to which this meeting and the entire process could bring the Korean people closer together, I think that's a very positive development. And if Donald Trump pulls this off, well, hats off to him.
지금 김정은 위원장이 핵실험 중단에 대해서는 일시적으로 이제 경제적인 이제 불이익 때문에 이제 말하는 것 같고, 결국에는 이제 나중에 다시 자신의 이제 이익을 위해서라면 다시 이제 시행할 거라고 생각합니다.
자유를 찾고요, 행복을 찾아야 돼요. 통일돼야 돼요. 통일이 꼭 돼야 돼요. 대한민국.
안전한 길로 가는 길목이니까 바람직하다고 생각을 합니다만은, 그러나 그들의 진정성을 보일 때까지는 끝까지 우리가 긴장을 풀질 말고 끝까지 지켜봐야 될 것입니다.
저는 한 80% 정도는 못 믿어요. 그런데 워낙 이번에 트럼프가 강력하게 나오니까 한 번은 어떻게 한 20% 정도는 믿을 수 있는 가격이 있는가 생각하고 있어요, 지금.
트럼프 대통령하고 김정은 위원장이 서로 대립하는 게 많았어서 이게 한반도에 영향이 올까 봐 좀 걱정은 많이 됐어요. 그래서 좀 지금도 계속 걱정이 많이 됩니다.
The worst case scenario, I think, would be that Trump aggravates Kim Jong-un a little too much, that maybe he's going to do something just ballistic. He's just going to go balls. Yeah.
To welcome to the stage the next Congressman from Western Pennsylvania, Conor Lamb, and the former Vice President of the United States, Joe Biden.
Welcome to the special election in Pennsylvania's 18th Congressional District. Democrat Conor Lamb is taking on Republican Rick Saccone in a race to fill the term of Republican Tim Murphy. He resigned after asking his mistress to have an abortion. The national press is watching. Democrats are all in.
Go out and make sure he wins.
This all sounds familiar, but it isn't. Because it doesn't actually matter who wins.
You get through this hurdle, we'll see you in the fall, too.
It's going to be a long and interesting campaign year, there's no doubt.
See, the 18th will basically cease to exist the moment voters cast their ballots on Tuesday. Every political organizer around here has had to become a cartographer overnight.
Hey, Nancy, how are you?
Good, I'm doing great. The 14th becomes the 18th, the 18th becomes the 14th, and the 12th becomes the 17th, and what else?
I don't know, that sounds pretty good to me. In February, Pennsylvania Supreme Court completely redrew the congressional map after ruling it unfairly favored Republicans. So if Lamb wants to stay in Congress after the special election, he has to run in a completely new district. Everyone's having to run two races at the same time.
Everyone is. That's what they're doing. It's insane. But I feel really bad for the candidates. We have candidates that have been working, not knowing any of this was ever going to happen. Now, they've lost a lot of their base that they had worked on for years. So it is challenging.
This is Mount Lebanon, Pennsylvania. Right now, it's in the 18th Congressional District, which is Trump country. So if you're a Democrat, to win it, you have to win over conservatives. But if the map holds, it's going to be in the 17th Congressional District. So for a Democrat to win that, they're going to have to be able to win over progressives. So the question is, can you have both of those conversations on the same street at the same time? That's the challenge for Lamb, the whip-smart Marine reservist and former prosecutor. He's running as a conservative Democrat, which is perfect for the 18th.
Where do you stand on each of these proposals? A ban on AR-15s, a raise in the minimum age to 21 to purchase rifles, and a ban on bump stocks.
My opponent and I both support the Second Amendment, but the difference is he's called for the elimination of the background check system here in Pennsylvania. I support universal background checks, no loopholes, period. As far as the proposals that you talked about, I think the most important thing for us to focus on is to act now. So if we can get agreement on any proposal, bipartisan agreement, we should, but we're hearing agreement on one thing right now, which is the universal background check system.
I'm going to ask you to actually answer Elaine's question about raising the age limit to 21 on rifles. Yes or no?
I'm open to it, but I don't support it right now because I don't think it's where the agreement happens, and those of us running for Congress should talk about the bills we know can pass.
His message is working. Polls put the race within a few points, which is wild for a district this Republican.
But are you committed to running for Congress again if you win this
Yes,
race?
Absolutely.
So that means you have to run in a new district? Probably.
Presumably, yeah.
Right.
I mean, I guess the courts could freeze the entire thing and leave us under the current lines. So that's why I've said, let's wait and see. I know that I'm asking people of the 18th District for the right to represent them, and that's all I'm thinking about right now.
Do you worry that any of the things you have to say to win this race might affect a Democratic primary in another place?
Not at all. No.
Really? I mean, you were pretty conservative on guns, for example.
I'm just telling people what I think.
The Democratic primary to run in the new district, the 17th, is in May. A bunch of Democrats are already running.
I'm Beth Teresi. I'm running for Congress in the 17th Congressional District.
Beth Teresi started her primary campaign more than a year ago. Listen to her talk about guns.
I'm a mother,
Uh-huh.
and I don't go for schools being shot up. That's wrong. We need to do something about the guns.
So would a strongly pro Second Amendment Democrat have a hard time winning the 17th?
Yes.
So next Tuesday, Lamb has to win the voters who like what he says about guns now. 2 months and 2 days later, he has to win with the voters who like what Teresi says about guns. This is what happens when Democrats get everything they want at once. They wanted a candidate who could run in Trump country, and they got one in Lamb. And they wanted a new, more favorable district map in Pennsylvania. And they got that too from the state Supreme Court. The result, frankly, is chaos. But no one's really interested in talking about that yet. Right now, Democrats just want to win. When they started out, the whole thing was supposed to be, can the Republicans win on the Trump tax cuts? Can the Democrats win with a sort of moderate person? Is this a rising star? Are all those questions, doesn't really matter now, right?
This is the beginning of the blue wave. And in a 20-plus Trump district, if Conor Lamb wins that, even if he comes close, I mean, this is national. This is huge.
Just soaking this in for a second here. I'm sorry.
The Russian presidential election is less than 2 weeks away, and Vladimir Putin has been busy tightening his already strong grip on the country. In December, Putin fired Alexei Gardiev, head of the Voronezh region. Gardiev was just the latest in a long line of governors Putin dismissed last year. He replaced a staggering 35% of the country's governors between 2016 and 2017. This is an unprecedented move in modern Russia, a federation of 85 states, each with its own laws and customs. That's why the role of governors is so important. They appoint officials, control regional budgets, and even have the power to pardon criminals. Yuri Lozhkov was the governor of Moscow for 18 years. He was dismissed in 2010 by President Medvedev while Putin was prime minister, citing loss of trust.
По любому твоему действию ты можешь получить возбуждение уголовного дела. Что это означает? Что это означает? Для руководителя региона. Не возникай. Так? Не проявляй протесты.
Officially, loss of trust is an anti-corruption measure, but it's used as a broad and vague legal justification for dismissing someone. It can mean anything from having a foreign bank account to being involved in a conflict of interest.
Вот я губернатор. Каждый день я принимаю сотни вопросов. Кстати, губернатор в России, да тем более, если ты самостоятельный, ты и хочешь сказать, сделать что-то полезное для своего народа, для своего региона, республики и так далее, так, то ты можешь попасть под вот этот закон за превышение полномочий.
Putin has also changed how governors are elected. He can now get rid of regional leaders and appoint acting governors. They do have to stand for election, but Putin can select the other candidates they run against, which means the vote is essentially a formality. This crackdown on regional independence only strengthens Putin's personal authority. The Kremlin is now in the process of grooming a new generation of aspiring leaders, all of whom sing Putin's tune. Russian media has aired bizarre footage of young, soon-to-be governors attending a kind of Putin camp, taking part in team-building challenges like diving from cliffs and lying underneath moving tanks.
Масштабный эксперимент – это конкурс лидера России, где сначала осуществляется онлайн-тестирование, и в итоге 100 лучших из более чем 200 тысяч, которые подали заявки, встретятся с Владимиром Путиным, и, видимо, им будут предложены какие-то управленческие должности.
The outcome of this month's presidential election isn't really in doubt, but by replacing regional governors with hand-picked cronies, Putin is ensuring that his influence extends well beyond the new 6-year term he'll inevitably win.
This is freestyle bullfighting, and it's as dangerous as it looks. Unlike classic Spanish bullfighting, in freestyle bullfighting, you're not trying to kill the bull. You're trying to do tricks and earn points. Here's how it works. Each bullfight lasts up to a minute. The more stylish and dangerous your moves are, the more points you get, assuming you don't get trampled first. You can get up to 50 points for your tricks, and an additional 50 points based on the size and the ferociousness of your bull. Add those up for a total of 100 possible points. Whoever gets the most points takes home the cash. 2 years ago, a bullfighter from Canada named Aaron Ferguson started a professional league called Bullfighters Only.
What's a Bullfighters Only event like?
It's nothing like a rodeo at all. We don't play country music or anything like that. I always thought that if we could portray our sport as an action sport and use video and, slow it down and zoom in and use high quality cameras and, do it like every other action sport has, follow that exact same blueprint that freestyle bullfighting, this type of bullfighting that BFO promotes, it would just go.
They follow that extreme sports blueprint pretty closely. They've got a slick social media account and a partner clothing brand that makes both Western wear and streetwear. They also attract outsider talent like Justin Josie. 4 years ago, he'd never even been to a rodeo, but now he's one of the top freestyle bullfighters in the country.
So this is the morning routine right now?
Yeah, morning routine for a bullfight, just kind of loosening up, get things moving,
And so what does watching this the day of do for you?
Just try to get in the mindset of the bull.
The mindset of the bull?
Yeah. Try to know what he's thinking, so then you can almost counter it.
He caught himself though, man. A lot of people wouldn't have caught themselves.
Josie lives in his van and travels the country in between competitions.
I'm nervous right now, you know. I think everybody's a little bit nervous, but you just got to go out there and do what you know how to do. Right now, the only thing that I'm really thinking about is fighting bulls. Like, just whatever happens, happens, trying to let it hang out, trying to put on a show and shut the whole place down.
Today, BFO has brought 6 of its bullfighters to the San Antonio Rodeo. They'll be competing for more than $25,000 in prize money. Ross Hill is 35 years old, and bullfighting is the only job he's ever kept.
Hey, cowboy. Good luck tonight.
Normally, he'd be in the arena himself, but he's taking a break to recover from a torn ACL he sustained while doing one of his signature moves, taking a selfie with a charging bull.
Oh, this is it right here? This is the one that didn't work.
Take a big, deep breath.
See, I made it look easy for 6 times. Yeah. And then that one happened.
So you're going to do it again?
For sure.
While the rodeo heats up inside the arena, the bullfighters are trying to get in the zone.
Yeah, I'm getting antsy right now. I don't know if you can tell or not. I'm over here. You look like you're about to jump in there anyway. I'm going to try to keep it down.
From Apache, Oklahoma, say hello and welcome to Justin Josie.
There's our guy.
So what's Justin like?
All right, Justin Josie's the hippie of the group. He's coming to fight bulls every time.
He don't look like a bullfighter.
Nope, that's what I love about him. So one on the north, one on... What the crap? What just happened? Oh, this is a good one. This is a good one. All right. A good, smooth, clean jump. He just hurdled a 1,500-pound fighting bull.
Man, look at that guy.
All right. So the next guy right here, this is one of my best friends. He will do any trick, anytime. He wears his shades. He is Mr. Cool. I bet you that he backflips him right out here.
Really? Right off the bat?
He's going to run and turn and backflip. That's
okay.
my guess.
All right. Let's watch it. Let's see if you called it.
Toby's backflip was just enough to win the event.
How about it for Toby Inman, our champion down below? I'm president. It happens.
Josie came in 4th place and took home $1,500. Between prize money and sponsorships, a top-ranked bullfighter can make 6 figures a year. But back in the locker room, nobody's really talking about money.
This is our goal in life, is to just go out there and hang out with all these guys and, you know, just go to bullfights and go to these rodeos and, yeah, get drunk afterwards. Just have a good time, you know? That's what we're here for.
That's Vice News Tonight for Friday, March 9th.